Okay, welcome again. So today, in this video, we're going to cover the next section, which is going to be graphs for qualitative data. So this is non-numerical data, categorical data, right? So we're going to talk about the different types of graphical displays. Most of these you're familiar with since grade school, okay? So we're going to talk about these, and we're not going to spend a lot of time, so this will be pretty much a short section to go over, okay? So one of the first things we're going to talk about is pie chart. So a pie chart is where you have the different categories of observations, and each category represents a wedge that's in a circle, okay? And the size of each wedge is proportional to the percentage or the amount of data that falls into that particular category, okay? That's really what it is, okay? Normally the wedges are by percentage, okay? So normally when, like if you do this in Excel, like in the Excel homework, each wedge you'll have the percentage of data. That's very easy for people to understand when they see percentages instead of seeing a number. So you'll always want to make sure that you not only have a legend of what each one of the pieces represents, what category they represent, but also have the percentage of data. Don't leave out the percentages from the pie chart, okay? Okay, so that's pie chart. The next type of chart is what we call a bar chart. Okay, so here, the categories are represented by bars, either vertical bars or horizontal bars. So again, the height of each one of these bars is proportional to the percent of data that falls into that category. Okay, so similar to a pie chart. Now, as you're going to see, you wouldn't use the pie chart and the bar chart always for the same thing. Okay, it depends on the data. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the example on the bottom of page 43 in the textbook, okay? So let me get that. And so we're going to walk through this example here because I think it's a good one. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to construct a pie chart and a bar chart for the data, and then we're going to talk about which one is more appropriate, okay? Sometimes you could use both. A lot of times you can use both. But again, sometimes you can't use both. And we're going to talk about that. Okay, so here are the two tables. Okay, so it says here, it says below are tables comparing the number of part-time and full-time students at De Anza College and Foothill College enrolled in the spring 2010 quarter. The tables display counts, or frequencies, and percentages for proportions, or what we call, and we're going to talk about this, relative frequencies. Okay? Okay. So here's the tables. just going to say F. Make this easier. Okay, so here's the table for De Anza College. And now what we're going to do is we're going to also extend this out to Foothill College. So again, this is going to be full-time, part-time, total. And relative frequency. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the frequencies, and then I'm going to fill in the relative frequencies, and I'm going to show you how to calculate relative frequency. Okay, so here's another definition that you're going to want to write down that you're going to want to know how to do. Okay? So the frequencies for the number of students are as follows. So this is 9,200. Oops. Oh, hold on a second. I need to fix this. This is not. Oh, I don't want it. Hold on. Okay. I need to add one more thing. Okay. So this and this should be like this. Okay, so this should be frequency, this should be relative frequency, again, frequency, relative frequency. Okay, so now we got the table right. Okay, so here's what we want. So now I need to move this up. Okay, so here we go. So full-time is going to be 9,200 students. So that's the frequency. That's the number of students. The part-time students are going to be 13,296. So the total is going to be 22,496 students. So over here for Foothill College, the frequencies are as follows. So 4,059 students. And then part-time students are 10,124 students. And so the total is 14,183 students. Okay? So now, they've got the percentages in here for relative frequency. Now I'm going to show you how to calculate relative frequency so you can see where they get the numbers from. Because it's directly from the frequency column. Okay? So here's relative frequency. Relative frequency is calculated by using this formula. All you do is you take the frequency for a particular category, and you divide it by the total frequency in the column, or the sample size. Remember what sample size is when we talk about a frequency distribution. It's just the sum of all of the frequencies, okay? So all you're going to do is divide by the sum of the frequencies in this column, which is the total right here, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to divide each one of the frequencies for the different categories by the total. Okay, and so remember, the sum of the frequencies is just the same as the sample size, or what we call the total in the table. Okay, make sense? Good. So now, if we use this, well, let's just use the first category here for De Anza College. Okay, so what's the frequency for full time? Well, it's 9,200. So if I wanted to get the relative frequency for that category, all I have to do is take the frequency for that category and divide by the total frequency or the total number in the table, okay, or in the column, okay? So in this case here, it'd be 9,200 divided by 22,496. And so when I calculate that, what do you get? Well, if you divide, the relative frequency turns out to be 0.409. And so to change that to a percentage, we just move the decimal point to the right, two spots, and then add the percent sign. So the relative frequency would be 40.9%. So that's how we do it. And so to get the relative frequency for the part-time, you just take 13,296 divided by 22,496, and we get 0.591, or 59.1%. And notice that the relative frequencies should always add up to 1 or 100%. Okay? So notice that this does add up to 100%. And it should always add up to 100%. Okay? And so now we can do the same thing over here, and if we do that, then our relative frequencies turn out to be 28.6% and 71.4% for a total, again, of 100%. Okay? And now, so this is how we, now again, this is a frequency table, okay? Or a relative frequency table. And in fact, well, I'm not going to say anything. So here's our table of values. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the table to construct a pie chart and a bar chart. Okay? So now, again, pause it to make sure you get this table down, and then I'm going to erase this and I'm going to create both charts using the table that I have. Okay? Okay, so let's begin. So let's do the pie chart. So I'm going to create two pie charts, one for De Anza College and one for Foothill College, based on the table. So what do they tell us? Okay, well, how many categories do I have? I've got two categories, part-time and full-time students. So, couple things. When I do a pie chart, I want the title of the pie chart, and I need to make sure I list the categories and the percentages for each pie chart. Why? I need to let my audience know how to read my table. Okay? So, the first pie chart, this is going to be for De Anza College. And this is going to be for student enrollment (2010). Which quarter? Spring. So this will be the spring quarter of 2010, okay? So now, I put a dot in the middle. Okay, so it's 40.9, so about 41%. and about 59%, about 41, 59. So just to give you an idea, okay? Again, when you sketch these, you just do the best you can. So it's going to be about 10%, so if this is half, if I go straight down, that's 50-50. So what I want to do is I'm going to go do something like this. So I'm going to go straight down here, like that. And then I'm going to go off about 10 degrees. You know, again, it's not going to be perfect. So this is 25. I know this is 25, right? So if I go across to 25, so I know it's going to be about halfway here, a little less than halfway. Okay? So I'm going to go this. Okay? So that's going to be my pie chart. I only got 2 categories, and that's what I did. So now this is going to be 40.1%. This is going to be 59, or excuse me, 40.9%. Yeah, 40.9%. This is going to be 59.1%. Okay? And that's perfect. And then this is going to be, I'm going to put, this is going to be part-time. This is going to be full-time. Okay, that's it. Okay? Now over here, just want to make sure I got one. Okay, so over here, if I draw my pie chart, put my dot, and this is going to be for Foothill College. Student enrollment, spring 2010. And so now if I look at the chart and I look at the relative frequency, it says 28.6 and 71.4. Okay, so approximately 28.6% and 71.4. So again, if I think about this, I know this is going to be 25%. So I want 28.6. Well, so what I would do is, okay, 28.6, let's say it's going to be, let's say about like that maybe. Close enough, okay? So now this is going to be full-time. So this is going to be 28.6% and it's going to be full-time. And the rest is going to be 71.4% and that's going to be part-time. Okay, so now, the thing that I can do when it comes to pie charts is I can immediately compare the 2 colleges together and say, okay, it definitely, if you compare it, Foothill College definitely has a larger percentage of their student enrollment that's part-time than with De Anza College. Okay. Now you can also put the numbers in here too, along with the percentages, and that's fine too. But always have the percentages. Percentages are always easier to interpret. So you could put the numbers along with that. So you could put the full-time is 9,200 and 13,296, and you could put over here 4,059 and 10,124. Okay, so you could add the numbers, the frequencies, but the very least you want is the relative frequencies or the percentages. Okay, so that's it. That's really how you do a pie chart for those 2. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, and now I'm going to construct the bar chart. Okay, so again, I'm going to put Deonsa College here. And this is spring 2010. So this is student enrollment again. I'm not going to write the whole thing out. Spring 2010. And so now I'm going to do a bar chart. So now I'm going to do a vertical bar chart. So I'm going to have one bar chart here, and we want to make sure we have the scales about the same. Again, when you're drawing this freehand, it's not exactly the same, but you want to try to have the scales the same. On Excel, much easier to do. Obviously, in real life, we would not do this, but again, make sure you know how to do this for the exam to do it by hand. Okay, again, this is probably the only time you're ever going to do it by hand. The rest of the time, you're going to do it on Excel or some kind of software. The calculator, I'm going to show you how to do all this on the calculator as well. Let's see here. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do the frequencies. Okay, so here, I'm going to do relative frequencies for the x-axis. So relative frequencies will always go here on the y-axis or the vertical axis. Okay, and what I'm going to do is we only have 2 bars, right? Each category, remember, each category gets a bar. So here, I'm just going to do a bar here and a bar here. Okay, same thing, just a little tick mark to represent where my bar is. And this is going to be full-time and part-time. Full-time. Part-time. And so now I'm going to just do my tick marks here. And what I'm going to do is, since these are relative frequencies, I'm just going to go up by 10%. Okay? So this will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100%. This is going to go 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now, I'm not putting the percent signs. Again, you want to make sure you put the percent signs when you're writing this out. I'm just doing it for time's sake and just so I can get this done for you. Okay, so now I can just plot my bars now. Okay, so once I have these tables constructed like this, now I can just add the percentages. Okay, so now, full-time for Deonsa College was 40.9%, so about 41%. So it's a little higher than the 40. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my bar up to about 41. Okay, so there's my bar. So approximately about 40.9. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect when you're freehanding this, okay? Then the next one obviously is going to be 59.1, so about 60, so a little bit below 60. So again, I'm going to draw the best I can to draw all the way up to 60. Okay, so again, good enough. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Foothill College. So 28.6. and 71.4. And there you have it. Okay, and that's all you need to do. Hold on, 71.4. I went a little too high over here. Huh. Oh no, oh that's right. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, it might have been a little higher, but so anyway, this is the way you would do it. Okay. So let's see here. That covers that. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about. Okay. Okay, so here's the last thing I want to talk about. What if, because this comes up to, what if the percents add up to less than or more than 100%? Now you're thinking to yourself, well, but Mr. C, when you said about frequencies and you do relative frequencies, they have to add up to 100%. And I said, and that's absolutely correct for the most part. But there are some situations where when you get the data is what it is, and if they present data, let's say not all the categories are represented, okay? Sometimes there has to be an other category, okay? So there are times where the percentages either add up to less than 10% or, excuse me, less than 100% or more than 100%. In those cases, it is not appropriate to use a pie chart. In those cases, you can still use a bar chart because bar charts are used to compare relative sizes for different groups. You can't do that with pie charts unless they add up to 100%. So in the case where it adds up to more than 100% or less than 100%, you should not and cannot use a pie chart. Okay? Okay. If you have any questions like that, please ask me via email or in class. I'd be more than happy to help you. But that ends today's lesson. And again, now tomorrow we're going to go on and we're going to discuss graphical displays for quantitative data. So this is going to be different. This was based on categorical data. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what do we do with data that's numerical or quantitative. Okay? Thank you very much.